Legendary girl group The Supremes still remain the #1 female recording group of all time. Mary Wilson, founding and original member of The Supremes, passed away suddenly, but her legacy is stronger than ever. Joining me to honor that legacy is her longtime friend, confidant, and publicist, Jay Schwartz. I'm Tanya Hart. Thank you for joining us on Hollywood Live. And today we are remembering and just celebrating the life of the late, great Mary Wilson, founder of the legendary girl group, The Supremes. They changed the world of music forever. And joining me to share this moment is her longtime publicist, friend, and confidant, Jay Schwartz. Jay, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you, Tanya?
I'm okay. Sincere condolences go out to you and the family. This is such a shock to everyone, but you and Mary were tied at the hip for at least 40 years. How did you first meet her?
I met Mary, and first of all, thank you so much for the condolences and sentiments. And we've known each other for a long time. We used to go on our trips with Mary to Dominican Republic and Mexico and all of that. But and it's just been yesterday, I think it hit because the first two, Monday night when I got the call, I just kind of sat here, just numb. And I was on the phone with her daughter, her entire drive to Las Vegas. And then Tuesday was all about work, just do what you have to do. So last night is when it really started to sink in, or yesterday morning when I posted on Instagram. It took me 2 hours to write this post.
Wow.
And it hit me. But within the post, I told this story of how Mary and I met. And I didn't remember what year it was, but I found a picture, a black and white picture of us. And on the back of the picture, it said 1982, from the photographer who had given me the picture. I was just starting out in New York as a publicist. And I was at an opening of a club. It was called Panache on Broadway. It was on West 44th Street between 6th and 7th, or 6th and Broadway, down there. And I was helping the promoter. She was a friend of mine. And in the picture, you see I'm wearing a tuxedo with a little flower in the lapel, and as we did back in the 80s. And Mary walked in, but I didn't know. And I just heard people starting to talk. And I turned around and I saw the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my life, wearing this red satin dress. I mean, like, she just stood out. And being a New Yorker, I was not shy. And, they said, "Oh, it's Mary Wilson of the Supremes." I'm like, "Are you kidding? The Supremes?" I had 2 older sisters, so we grew up with the Supremes and listened to WABC radio in Brooklyn, in New York. And I went over and I started talking to her and I said, "Oh, I think I'm going to move out to LA." And she said, "Well, when you do, give me a call." And she gave me her number. And 3 years later, I moved out to LA, and then my first call was to Mary, and we've been working together ever since.
I know, and I think I met you in probably that 82 period up in Boston when you and Mary, maybe it was a little bit after that, but that was when I first met you as well.
Yeah.
And you guys were working together. I can't believe it. 1961 was when the Supremes signed with Motown. They were celebrating, and Mary was celebrating the 60th anniversary this year.
January 21st was, and we had so much press planned since September, October. A year ago I started it, but like September, October, I started reaching out to everybody saying, "Oh, January 21st, we're going to be doing press. It's the 60th anniversary of the Supremes." I started lining up dates to do press. And then we realized, like a month ago, "Hey, Mary, January 20th is the inauguration."
Right.
No, it wasn't that. I said it to her, I think, after the insurrection. And I said, I think January 20th is the inauguration, but January, who knows what's going to happen with this idiot? How many more things he's going to stir up. And I don't think we should do it. I think we should wait to see what happens in our country and the political atmosphere. And she agreed. And so we postponed it, but not only was she celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Supremes, she made a deal with the old Motown Records is now called Universal, UME, Universal Music Entertainment, or Classic Motown. And the president, and Mary's been working with them to keep the Supremes legacy alive. And they're very grateful, and she had an incredible relationship with them. And she had new music. She had a new album that has never been released. So this is funny and inside information. But the label, so she spoke to Bruce Resnickoff, who's the head of the label, and he said, absolutely, we're going to put out 2 Mary Wilson albums. Wow. But she was convinced it was 1 album. So I was talking to Universal, the publicist that we have has been by our side for 30 years. And she and I thought, well, isn't there unreleased Mary Wilson music from, when the Supremes disbanded in 1977, Mary did an album.
Right.
She said, yeah, Jay, I think there is. So I called Mary with her on the phone, and I said, Mary, we just are confused here. We know about the new album, but isn't there unreleased music? No, there's no unreleased music. I said, are you sure? Yes, there's no unreleased music. So we go back. Now the head of the label tells the entire company, we're putting out this new album, and we get on a Zoom call, and sure enough, there's another album. Right. So it's the album that they put out in 1979. Wow. It was Mary's album. They put out 1 single and nothing else. And the album was never put on, it was never digitized, it was never a CD, it was just a vinyl album, but they did nothing with it, except the 1 song, which was a dance mix, because this was disco at the time. It was called Red Hot, and that was the name of the album. So we're sitting and talking, it was like, they're telling me, yes, we have this album, plus 4 unreleased tracks that Mary owns. So we have that album that we're going to do, and we have a new album that we're going to do.
Wow.
That Mary had recorded. And so I called Mary back and I said, Mary, there's this and there's this. So she goes, yeah, I know what those tracks are. I'm like, but I thought you said there wasn't anything. Oh, no, there is. So she was just very excited about it. So last night, that's what our call was about. But so we decided to wait and put this out the first week in March. Albums drop on Fridays. So Friday, March 5th. Well, Mary's birthday is Saturday, March 6th.
I was going to say, it's birthday.
So we said, okay, that's the week. When I tell you, Tanya, we had so much press lined up starting that Monday. Sirius Radio was doing a town hall. She was doing a takeover of the 60s channel. She had 2 days of just interviews lined up. Mm-hmm. That was the Monday. Wednesday, we were doing the Today Show. Thursday, we were doing E.T. and The Talk, all for the release on Friday. She was very, very excited about this, but we hadn't told anybody.
Right.
So Monday night, when I was on the phone with I called Universal, I called Sujata, and she said, did you see what Mary posted? And I said, no, what did Mary post? She said, Jay, she just posted 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, what did she post? And where did she post? On her YouTube channel, because Mary was very into her brand new YouTube channel, and very into the new website. I mean, we would talk every day about pictures on the website, but the YouTube channel, this was her thing now. So I pulled it up and I'm watching it. Now, this is, mind you, maybe a half hour to an hour after Turkessa called me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Universal Music on the phone, and I'm watching this. Hi, it's Mary. I'm so excited. It's Black History Month, and I have such good news. And we're going to release a new album, and it's going to have these tracks on it. And as I'm watching this, I'm looking, like I start yelling at her. I'm like, what are you doing? Stop. Don't tell anybody this. This is a surprise. It's still not in my head
I
that
know.
she just died, So anyway, that's a long answer to
Yeah, but that's okay. That's
story.
okay. I mean, clearly she was on I actually saw that post, and then I have another one that she did New Year's Eve that a few of us have that I don't even know if you've seen it.
I
I'll
have
send
it.
it. I'll send it to you. It's great. I mean, it was fabulous. She was all dressed up. It was New Year's Eve, and she said, "Hey, I'm here by myself, but I just want to say hey to everybody." It's wonderful. So, all of that being said, clearly she was on roll. But let's go back a little bit. 2019, she did Dancing with the Stars, and of course, she released another book that was about the glamour of the Supremes, and I think people don't understand how important this was to the elevation of Black America. Because when the Supremes came out looking like they did in the 60s and went around the globe, people around the globe and in the United States finally looked at African Americans very differently. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Mary. Well, the Supremes did this, and it was Berry Gordy's, with Berry Gordy's guidance. But Mary'd say we were BLAPs, Black American princesses. And she would always say, we were just three little Black girls from the Brewster Projects in Detroit. And Maxine Powell was their, I can't think of the word I want to use.
She was there.
She ran a modeling agency.
Right, yeah.
And the school for women, and this is how you get in and out of a car. You don't get in with your backside out, so that's not ladylike. This is how you are when you meet the queen and when you meet royalty. And once they hit, I tell you, just let me digress for 1 second. This is a funny story. When they were on the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars tours, they had recorded Where Did Our Love Go, but it wasn't out yet. So they were on the tour, and so Mary would tell this story. So I just repeat it verbatim. We were on the tour, and they'd say, "Oh, Mary Wells, Smokey Robinson," and then all the way down at the bottom, the Supremes, and they'd be like, like one or two claps. Well, Where Did Our Love Go came out while they were on tour. So now, when they said, "And the Supremes," the crowd went wild. And so the three of them thought that, what's going on here? Maybe Smokey Robinson came out, in back of them. And it wasn't. They became the Supremes. That was the beginning of who they were, that I'm sorry.
That's okay. Take your time.
She said they knew they made it from that tour, which Berry Gordy had to beg Dick Clark to take them on the tour, when they didn't have to travel home on the bus. They were flown home on a plane.
Wow. Yeah.
So they just started elevating in, their stature. They just went back into the studio, and they had hit after hit. They had 5 consecutive number ones, 12 number ones altogether. And with their status, Berry wanted them to play the Copa. Well, the Copa was an all-white club.
Right.
They're the first Black artists to play the Copa. And they went in and broke down that barrier. The Supremes were, I don't like using the word crossover, because to me that's derogatory. Just to me, because I always grew up, everybody was the same. Nobody was any different. And but they were the first group that was able to go and do and cross over, and their elegance and their poise and their charm, which Mrs. Powell taught them. And I got to meet Mrs. Powell when we went to Detroit to promote her first book, Dream Girl, My Life as a Supreme. And I met this woman. Man, she was like a little powerhouse. She always had on the little hat, very put together lady. She was short, but very, very sweet, very, very sweet. But yes, they, yes, were known for their music, but just as much for their glamour and the gowns. And if you give me 1 second here, just 1 second, because right there on my coffee table, is the book.
Oh, yes, that's great. I did want to see that.
Is the book. You know, and I think she even, this is I have lots of copies, but yeah.
Oh, good. You can send me one.
Oh, I got to find them, because since I gave up my office, I will send you one, but they're in storage, but I will send you one.
I appreciate it.
You know, she did her inscription to me in the book also. But yes.
You know, they were just, I mean, but she did so much that people don't even realize. She, in 2003, the former Secretary of State Colin Powell made her a U.S. ambassador of culture. She's worked on landmines. She's worked on women's rights. She's worked on eradicating HIV/AIDS. I mean, landmine. There was just so much other stuff that she did.
She got last year, I think, or the year before, she was working on the Music Modernization Act that she got passed. I mean, along with other people, but the Music Modernization Act was, or is, artists before 1972, so all the Supremes, all the groups, nobody got any royalties. Nobody got paid before 1972. From 72 on, artists got paid. They passed this act in all 50 states, and it says, and it was retroactive for all these people, all these groups, they get paid. And Mary spearheaded that. She's been spearheading, you know, a stamp for Florence Ballard for the United States Postal Office, and we've gotten so many, you know, responses saying that they're working on it, but they had to shut everything down because of the pandemic, you know?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. She was just such an ambassador for change around the globe, but especially, you know, here in America. For you, what moment stands out over the years of you traveling with her around the world, and or just sitting up there in her house or whatever? What moment stands out for you?
Well, there's two moments. When in 1986, when we went, you know, to promote Dream Girl, My Life as a Supreme, that stood out because, you know, when I would get on the phone and tell people it was Mary Wilson, one of the Supremes, they weren't really, you know, interested. Oh, what about Diana? What about Diana? And it wasn't about Diana. You know, this is about Mary Wilson. She's just as much a part. There were 3 girls in the group, not one. So when I was able to get, you know, The Tonight Show and Letterman and the covers of USA Today and all the press, I felt, you know, I'm making a difference here. And it, you know, for me personally, but look what I'm doing for Mary. And that was 1986. We're now 2021. But one of my favorite moments happened last year. It was 2019. So I had pitched Mary for Dancing with the Stars. And we went in and we had a meeting up at ABC, and she just blew them away. And we were going to the premiere of the Motown 60th. We were going, the Hitsville, the documentary.
Right, yes, I remember.
We were going to the premiere of that. But before we were going there, we went to do an interview for PBS on Aretha Franklin. So now we're sitting in this home in the hills, in the valley here. And I'm, phones are off, and she's doing the interview like over here, and I'm sitting over here, and my phone goes off, and it's from Dina, who is the producer of Dancing with the Stars, and I've known her for years because I've had other clients on Dancing with the Stars, and it says, "Guess what?" And I wrote, "What?" And she goes, "Guess." And I'm like, "What is it? We want to offer Mary to do Dancing with the Stars."
Yeah.
I got so excited, but I couldn't say anything because she's in the middle of an interview.
Right.
So I'm sitting there just texting, I'm bursting. After the interview, she's got to take pictures with people and she's talking to people, and all I want to do is like, let's get the hell out of here, right? We walk out the door, everybody else goes away. Before we're walking to the car, I turn around, I look at her, I stop, I grab her arms, and I'm in her face, and I just have the biggest smile on my face. And she's looking at me and she goes, and I said, didn't say a word, didn't have to say what it was, how it was. We gave each other the biggest hug and kiss. And she started to cry because she really wanted to do this. And then we got in the car and we drove to the premiere of this documentary. And in the car, we're talking to the producer and say, don't say anything yet. It's going to be a surprise. We get to the red carpet. She gets out. She goes ahead of me. I don't know. Maybe I got out on the other side or something. She goes up the stairs, and I see her on the stairs with Berry Gordy.
Right.
Right away, she's talking to him. He looks up at me, and he goes like that, good work. And I'm like, Mary, did you tell him? Yeah, she told him, she told Smokey, she told everybody there. So Barry came over and gave me a hug. Smokey came over and gave me a hug. But I think that was my biggest moment, the memory of just how happy, and we were able to share in that together because she wanted that so badly.
And she was actually very good on there too. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed her, the time that she was on there. So so many great moments. I am so glad that the music though will live on. I'm still honestly in shock myself. There's so many. I've got to start looking for all the photos that we've shared together over the years, and just it's kind of unbelievable. And I know she was literally in her office working when she passed away, and I'm not sure what happened, if it was just a cardiac arrest, or I don't know if anybody knows at the moment.
Honestly, we don't know. I'm just gonna shut the door because the gardener just got here. Forgive me, please. Okay. No, she actually wasn't in her office. She was on her chaise lounge.
Okay.
But she had all her stuff, her phone, her computer, just as she did. We don't know. We do not know, because nobody was there. She was by herself. Mary did have heart disease. She had 3 surgeries this past summer to replace the stents in her heart. So all her arteries and everything were clear, because she had just had this done. I had a massive heart attack July 1st. And when I had it, she called me and, she said, they put a stent in. I'm like, yeah. So it was no big deal. I get these replaced all the time. I said, okay. But she was always checking up on me about that. So she went and had these surgeries and she was fine. So, but she did have heart disease. So just process of elimination.
Right, exactly.
We have to assume, because honestly, we don't know. There's no autopsy, but from what they're saying, she died in her sleep, and she was sitting up on her chair, and when she died, but they said there was no sign of distress. So, we said, what does that mean? Well, when you have a heart attack or something, you're like this, or there's an expression or something like, and they said there was no sign of distress. She just looked like she was sleeping.
She probably, I think God probably said, "Ooh, I need somebody to sing this song up here today. Let me call Miss Mary."
Yeah, well, we're not too
So
happy with him for that decision. But
I know. But the albums, we will be hearing this music.
yes,
Hopefully,
the
maybe.
music will be out in April.
Okay, in April. Very good. Jay, I want to thank you again, sending my condolences.
Thank you.
There are just so many, many great stories. I'm assuming you'll be writing your book about this at some point.
Maybe at some point.
Yeah, I know. There are a lot of stories.
Figure that out maybe at some point.
Yeah, but thank you so much.
I'm posting. My post yesterday, I think there were a lot of people waiting for that because, I did release this on Monday night, and I think people were waiting. So I did a very detailed post yesterday, but I'm going to start, I think today, I'm going to put up some things that, Dancing with the Stars, pictures, rehearsals, video, and stuff. So I think I'm going to post that stuff today.
Okay, great. Well, we appreciate you. We love you. I've known you for so many years, and you've always been a great guy to all of us. And help us out.
Well, one last thing. This is what we want to say. Well, this is from Mary. She wanted everybody, especially in the African American community where heart disease runs rampant.
Yes.
Go get yourself checked. Go and get yourself checked. For me and Mary, there was no color between us. We were just us. There was never any color. It's really important, and I will fight till my last breath to protect and take care of and get things done for her, about her, and with her. So her wish was go get yourself checked, go get yourself taken care of. I think I told you, or maybe I didn't. I did tell you at the beginning of this, I got a get well card from her Monday morning.
Right.
Telling me how to make a hot toddy, her recipe. And we just want to say thank you to all the fans and the Motown, the Motown Detroit community. Barry Cordy, he's the first person who called. Yesterday, we spoke to Patti LaBelle. We spoke to Dionne Warwick. We just want to say thank you to everybody and to her fans, because this is not over yet. It's not over.
No, it's not. Like I said, she and the music and the legacy will live on. And again, we appreciate you for what you've done. Hang in there, hon.
Will do. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
And of course, thank all of you for tuning in and this very special tribute to a woman that will always be in our lives and certainly part of the soundtrack of our lives and of America and of the world, the late, great Ms. Mary Wilson. And I got to tell you something, red was one of her favorite colors, and I'm wearing this red dress today to honor her. And Jay, you know that. This was her color. Red was her color. Love you. Love everybody out there. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.